Okay, well, if you're wondering where all the music came from, and some of you may know, I used to do a clandestine, what I call a clandestine podcast, 2008, 2009 time frame. The maybe even a little bit farther back than that. When we used to live in Boyne Falls, and it's a little bit of a gray area with as a federal worker, you shouldn't really be doing weather. Well, I mean, I have to show that I'm not doing it on government time or with government stuff. So anyway, the main point being that, I can do this. I can use all the stuff that they find on the internet and kind of talk about it. And I don't expect to get any money out of this stuff. That's the other thing too. I make it non-commercial. So, yeah, I should be okay with the stuff that I do now. But anyways, the music was from that podcast. In fact, let's see here. Oh, I don't have that in there, but that was just a loop that I cut for the background music the whole time. I do have an intro for it, which would be kind of interesting if I'd ever get my act together. Well, I wanted to do a 5-minute countdown today so that people could see it. Just a little bit more visibility out there in case people wanted to join in. In fact, I want to pop out the comments page. And we're going to minimize this part of Facebook. There we go. That fits just about right. Kinda. Okay. Well, we'll see here how this all works out. But to get started with everything, let's see here. What do I have on store? I don't want to take up too much time. I know that sometimes I will get a little bit crazy on the amounts of things that I talk about here at the beginning. Oh, no. Wrong. Yes. No. Monitor. There we are. Okay. Let me fade this over here so that it's just not me just talking about all this stuff. Okay. I just wanted to kind of quickly go through with what we've been looking at. This is the Gaylord Regional Airport, basically pretty close to downtown Gaylord. And our current temperature is 41 degrees with a dew point of 28, giving us a relative humidity of 61%. It says clear skies. That's because the solometer, it's just basically a laser rangefinder that points vertically, is not seeing anything below 12,000 feet. So if you see CLR, that usually means no clouds below 12,000 feet. There are a few ASOS devices out there that actually do up to 25,000 feet now, but yeah, we're not one of them. But anyway, just to give you an idea. But we've got a nice, probably something over 12,000 feet, so probably 14,000 feet of, looks like a kind of an alto cumulus deck, a pretty steady one, in fact. So anyway, just to kind of go along with what is going on, we are expected to get a warm front through here pretty soon. Our temperature today is only going to get to 54, but then if you look at the temperature roller coaster graphic that the office put out here, we are going to get into at least some of us are going to get into the 70s. This is probably Gaylord. I think the forecast is for 72. Well, let's take a look. Well, we have a high anywhere from 51 to 76. The 51 is going to be near some of the lake shores. And probably up by like Lake Superior. So we're talking about like Whitefish Point, Paradise area, that the water temperatures are going to be able to keep things dialed back a bit. Sault Ste. Marie probably isn't getting into the 70s, probably more like the 60s, just because it's a bit landlocked, although you can get a cool breeze off of Lake Superior to get in that far. Sunday then is 62 to 74, so things will start to warm up a little bit in other places along the Upper Peninsula, and that's where we have for the next Saturday and Sunday. But then Monday we start to cooler air gets in, and then we're back down here where our highs are almost to where our normal lows are. I can't guarantee that we're not going to do all this stuff here again. This whole cold and then warm and then cold again, but that's where we are at currently. And with that, we are going to go right into the weather map analyzation. And it'll kind of show what all these features are that we're looking at that's going to cause this. So all right, we're going to start off here. Yeah, let's try 2. And then I go into my silence here as I start to concentrate on my getting the isoplus right. Getting all my isobars in here. 04. This is kind of a weird pressure pattern. Sometimes they are just before you get started with a lot of that. You get too many of these things in here. But that's because you get smaller troughs that are in here as well. Okay, 06. Mary's usually doing her coffee and makeup live, and it's 10 o'clock in about 5 more minutes upstairs on her Facebook group. She has an Avon group that she does this with. Oops. Oh, I guess the big news to tell people, which we haven't, well, we kind of have been spreading it around, but not huge. And I need to probably tell a few other people about this anyways. But we've got, okay. I analyzed 08 and then put 010, put 10 on it. Okay, let's fix this. That we have accepted an offer on our house. We've had it for sale here for about a month. And we are going to start looking for a new place to live. The big thing was to try to get out from underneath all the debt that we've accumulated, because with prices going up, and that's part of it, but with prices going up, it's been difficult to make payments on things. So we can wipe out all of that. The other thing too has been that the two of us don't need a house this big. I mean, it's great when the grandkids come over and they want to stay the night or something like that. But one of the drawbacks of not drawbacks, but ever since Mary's mom moved back to New Mexico, we have not needed the house as big as it is. We finally came to that realization and said, oh, let's do something about that. So we are going to look for someplace smaller and get our finances squared away. I'm going to go outside the lines today. I guess that's just where I'm going to be. I'll tell you, these are probably fairly well packed. I just see that I'm doing 1022 here. And I'm almost right on a 1027. So, I mean, there's been some good breezes. I mean, it's settled down now because I think we are in the midst of the high, in which means there's no packing of these isobars. But but earlier when the last low was moving out, man, the winds were just, well, they weren't super cranking, or else we'd had a wind advisory out, but they were cranking enough that it's like it was pretty breezy out there yesterday. And for those of you who don't know, breezy is a term the Weather Service uses. It has a specific definition, which is 15 to 25 miles an hour. So if you see something that says breezy in a National Weather Service forecast, that's what that means. And windy is 20 to 30 miles an hour. Although, I mean, a lot of times people will say breezy and windy, and, it'll be no more than about 10 or 15 miles an hour, so on the lower end of all that, but it's just enough that just they think it's that. But we do have a definition for it. In fact, we have a definition for just about everything. So mostly cloudy. If I remember, it's either 60 or 70% to about 90%. And then cloudy is considered 90% and above. I may be off by give or take 10%. So on the percentages. Oh, just saw that my 30 is actually going to be closed. Here we go. Let's see here. Just trying to think of other definitions that we have. See, we have specific definitions in aviation forecasting. So when we do the aviation forecast for, say, like Traverse City or Alpena, and if you look at the observations off of an ASOS, or any observation for that matter, it's done in a METAR format. So they have few, which is a tenth, maybe 2/10. Yeah, no, I think it's just a tenth of coverage of clouds. And then after that, it goes to scattered, which is up through 5/10, so half the sky. And then 6 to 8 is considered, 6 to 9 is considered broken. And then 10/10 is overcast. I once had a guy I worked with the office because they were in Jackson, Kentucky at the time. This is 1032, Jeff. And you're including all the 1031s. There we go. Start over again. And he wants, the Weather Service was looking at maybe changing or doing something different for cloud cover. And so he said, well, why don't we use the aviation stuff? He never heard back on any of that. I mean, it'd be you'd have to educate the public. if you have to educate pilots, because one of the things they have to know is the weather and cloud cover and things like that, so that they don't fly into clouds and when they're not IFR rated. That's instrument flight rules, because that usually ends badly. I'm sure the rest of the public can figure that out. And then 36. Sometimes I think we don't give the public enough credit, and sometimes people amaze me on Facebook. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. And this thing is going not too bad. With the amount of talking that I did, and I do have a deadline I'm trying to make. We have I like to sometimes, especially since I go into work tonight, try to get these I try to watch the regional operations centers briefing in the morning. I can't do it when I'm sleeping, but this last day off that I have before I go in tonight, sort of, I guess it's kind of contradicted. Oh, there we go, 10:24. Well, yeah. So I don't have the day off. I mean, I have the daytime off, but but I do work today, and that's tonight at 7:00. And I will go launch the balloon. This will be better weather to do it in. Oh, the one thing that I've gotten as I've gotten older is doing those balloon launches, especially in the mornings in the wintertime, because it just gets so cold out there. There was a time when I could deal with just about any temperature, and I didn't mind it so much. But as I've gotten older, yeah, not so much. Okay, well, let's see. This looks like it is pretty well done as far as the isobars are concerned. And then there's a big blue H here. Oh, I did that again, didn't I? All right, that goes back to that color. This gets changed to this color. Okay. There we are. There's the big blue H. And if you want to, you could probably imagine the ridge lines back down on both sides of it. So the ridge is pretty much past Michigan now. You can see all this precipitation off to our west here. So I'll just kind of circle that in highlighter. How well does that look? Yeah, not bad. Oh yeah, there we go. So that's going to be heading in our direction here. So let's get the low. Whoops. Let's get the low done here. So the low is another one of those complicated looking ones. In fact, I didn't look at WPC. No comments. Okay, well, that happens. Let's see if I can get that up on the other thing here. Usually I try to look at WPC in the morning, and I didn't because I was messing around with getting that music and messing around my countdown timer so that I could get things rolling here. But surface analysis. Yeah, it's the big general area. This is the 12Z analysis I'm looking at. Here, let's see if I can get OBS over here, and we'll put the other monitor up. That's the okay. And we'll just fade over. Excuse OBS there for a second. So this is that area I'm looking at now, which is over here. Oops. Time to flip you back. All right. So yeah, this part right here, that's where the low's going to be working out of here. Let's see here. I'm going to switch this back to something else. Yeah, we'll do buffer. Okay. Yeah. Bump my microphone. All right. So we're going to start analyzing this part of it. So the low itself is almost kind of strung out because you can see there's a pretty decent little inverted trough along here, along the northern periphery. And it looks like you're trying to get some sort of a warm surge going here. I'm trying to tell the temperature differences. I guess we could do this. Yeah, we're kind of in that ballpark. There's 70, and on the other side, 63. There's 72. 60s to the north. Something like that. And then there's a cold front down here. You can see the 41 degrees versus 64 in the warm sector. That's this. Here's 64. There's the 41. 48 behind the low. Yeah, I mean, it's all in here. And you can see that there's also the tail end of this one out here. The low's up off the map. I don't want to try to get that too far in there. There's a cold front here. I'm going to pull up that WPC one again. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, oh, yeah. Okay, I got it right. I was looking at the 12Z map, and it's like, okay, it's going through Nebraska, Missouri, Iowa. And, yeah, that's pretty much where my... I mean, this is the one from recent here, so I got this at about quarter to 10. So that would be, 1440 or 1345, 14Z ish. And we'll put the little knobs on. Now WPC also has something that's a warm front, and I guess you can make an argument for it that there's something up here, but it's not attached to any sort of low. So I don't know if I would buy that one, but that's I guess there's a boundary in there from something. But this is with what happens. A high pressure here. Let me get my cursor over there. The high pressure here is moving off to our east, so it's already past the Great Lakes now, or almost. The part of the ridge is at least almost into Georgian Bay. And then and part of it is in the lower Great Lakes, across half of Lake Erie. So the rest of this is like all from the warm front and the low starting to press all this stuff up here. So this warm air that we're seeing is going to eventually translate its way over here. Let's see, fronts. And I want the short. No, I guess we can do it this way. No, here we go. Here, let's just do this. Okay, well, now that we're done with the analysis, and we'll just click done. Okay. As I was going to show here a little bit. So here's today, this 12Z. which is working pretty well. Here's 18Z. So at 2 o'clock this afternoon, the rain should be approaching. That's why we've got the cloud cover, even though the skies are saying clear. I mean, not the skies, but the ASOS is saying clear. 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. So we'll get the chance of rain starting around 8 o'clock tonight, rain overnight. And then the warm front starts to come up here Saturday. There's, Saturday at 8 o'clock at night. Sunday, 8 o'clock in the morning. Monday, 8 o'clock in the morning when the cold front finally comes through. Boom. Could be get some thunderstorms. It's coming in the middle of the night, so probably nothing severe because we're in a time of the year right now where we have to have warmer temperatures and really get the energy rolling to do stuff. But and then another cold front comes through on Tuesday. If you remember, the temperature falls into the 50s for Monday for high temperatures, and then Tuesday it gets into the 30s, and then that cold high pressure kind of sits over us for a couple of days. I mean, it starts to modify and warm up a little bit on Thursday, probably back into the 40s. And then Friday we start doing it. And then it looks like we're probably going to do something all over again. I know that the CPC maps, and I'll do this real brief. So here's the 6 to 10 day outlook. And so we're below normal at the end of our time period, which we knew about, and below normal precip. And then 8 to 14 days, so the 29th through the first week of May is expected to continue to be below normal and below normal on precipitation. So cool. Will we get some snow? It's possible. I mean, we've gotten snow as late as Mother's Day. And that week kind of just after it. But usually by the end of May, we are just too warm to really sustain any snow, usually. I don't want to, promise one thing and then it doesn't happen. But that is a possibility. Usually the snow doesn't stick around, as it hasn't been a lot of times. In fact, I mean, there's no snow on the ground again after we had that short little bit not too long ago. So I am going to close these out here. But I think that is about all we needed to talk about. And I am ready to start rolling this thing back. So, hey, everybody, I appreciate your attention, and we will see you again on another day.